Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
So let me get to Vincent Vallelong, who remains the president of the Sergeants Benevolent Association. He elected again to be their president, so congratulations. He's a great guy, great cop. Congratulations, Vin. And something tells me you agree with Frank Morano that at the very best, this mayor is a liar. Yes?
He's more than a liar. He's a deceitful individual.
Wow.
And it seems as if that he's pulled the rug out from everybody, every city council member, with regards to this budget. And if he did it with the cops at the last minute, the real big question should be right now is, what else is hidden inside this budget that they did not look at? Were they asleep at the wheel when they were supposed to be doing their jobs? And if they let him do this, who he is considered technically a neophyte in this position, if the senior people let him do this, I hold them accountable. Every single one of them. There are ones that are standing up and screaming and yelling. That's all well and fine. But what this budget did was make every single New Yorker a lot less safe.
I mean, when you say a lot less safe, because I do talk to Jessica, as you know, Tish. She's a good friend, very good friend. We're very close.
I'm not fighting that one, right?
No, I know you're not. But when Eric Adams left, there was like 31,000 cops. Eric Adams did not go out of his way to hire more cops. You understand that. Now, unless somebody's lying to me, I believe right now there's about 34,000. But I'm also aware that about 3,000 or 4,000 are about to walk out, and I have no idea how many are going to walk in. I get all that. But in this budget, as far as I know, Vince, they're only going to add 580 cops, not 5,000, not 10,000, 580. I know they wanted a fifth firefighter as well. Now, I'm not okay not adding one cop, not adding one, let alone almost 600, but it was 580, right? Not 5,000.
If you do not if you do not make police officers, you cannot make supervisors. And when all of the top minds of this job are leaving in retirement, who is to hand down that knowledge to the younger guys? You are now a year behind in hiring people, which is in essence what it is that's going to be done. 580 was really a minimal number. I mean, they needed a lot more than that. Everybody knows that. We can say 34,000. We can say 35,000. But the reality of it is, we need boots on the ground. We need the cops. The cops are burning the candle at both ends. They are exhausted. They're doing these extended tours, and yeah, listen, that's part of our job, and I get it, and I'm not crying about that. But where's the reinforcements? When are they coming? Because you know what? They're not. And he ran on defunding the police. That is what it is he is doing. You can give me all the political BS you want, okay? But that is exactly what this is here. And he told everybody he was putting the minimal amount of police officers in, and then totally stabbed every single one of them in the back and pulled it out of the budget.
He did. And you know what he did, Vince? This son of a bitch? Because nobody hates this guy more than I do. I mean, you're right there with me. But he did it, according to Frank and others, like midnight a couple of nights ago. Why did he do that? Because at that point, it was too late. It was too late for the city council members to come back and do something about it.
So listen, I don't have a personal problem with the speaker. Okay, so I just want to get that out there right away. But you even correct me if I'm wrong. You were on the show a couple of months ago. You even at one point levied a lawsuit against Julie Menon, right? Well, I filed an ethics complaint.
Right. Right.
All right. So, but if I have to be the watchdog and I'm a cop, what is everybody else doing when they're watching all of this stuff happen? They're going after the likes of Vicky Palladino, right? And but they're held to a different standard. She's in that position to be the counter to the mayor. And as far as I'm concerned, even if she got it at the last minute, she could have paused this. They didn't have to have that budget done immediately. She could have paused it and said, you know what? Nope, we're not taking this to a vote. We're going to bring everybody back in, and we're going to look through this whole entire budget. She's the checks and balances, and she did not do her job, is the way I see it.
So you're placing blame on Julie Menon on this?
I'm placing blame on the whole city council. I'm not placing blame on one individual, but she's the sheriff in town. She's supposed to be the one that's supposed to keep everybody in line.
So, Vinny, tell me this. How many cops are set to walk out this year? And some of these guys, correct me if I'm wrong, it's gotten so bad in this city. We all know you're not making millions, okay? And you get no respect from the mayor and the rest of these lunatics in and around him. And about 45 of the 51 council members don't give a rat's ass about you guys. So the cops know it. So a lot of these guys are walking out even before they get their pensions. How many cops do you expect to walk out by the end of the year?
I can give you what it is in my rank. Okay, and just an example. This month, we had 35 people promoted to sergeant. You had 20 people promoted to lieutenant. Now, this is basic math. That leaves me with 15 extra supervisors for the whole entire city. And then you had 81 sergeants right now in rank that filed for retirement. That leaves us at a negative 66.
Wow.
Where are you making those numbers up within this next year where you want to put basically a hiring freeze on everybody?
Wow.
That and Sid, that comes at a cost to the citizens of this city. The people that are putting money into the city are expecting a product, and they're not getting that product. You can give away all the free stuff you want, and you could put a freeze on housing and everything else, but at the end of the day, you can't put a freeze on violent crimes.
Tell me about the morale with the sergeants. I don't expect you to tell me the morale for the whole police department. I'll talk to Jessica about that. And I'll talk to Scott Monroe about the detectives. But in terms of the sergeants, everybody I talk to says to me, the morale with the police is way down, way down. Every rank, every file, just about every cop in the city, not exactly walking around feeling great. What is the truth about the morale with your people?
You have a lot more work being dumped on these guys. Your desk officers, just as an example, have absolutely more responsibility, more paper in order to push across the desk, and less people to help them out to do it. So how do you think morale is going to be when you're doing somewhere between 10-hour, 12-hour tour? You're exhausted. You're doing them day after day, and then you're expected to do more work. And then someone's going to come in and they're actually going to give you a command discipline, which is like a complaint on because you didn't do your job. There's no room for error, it seems. And the littlest thing that happens, these guys are afraid that they're going to get either transferred or they're going to get in trouble.
Oh, we saw that a couple of months ago with that one cop who was being critical of the Democrats, and he got transferred like that night, I think. And then what's going on with Eric Duran? What's the latest with that?
I spoke with him the other day. His spirits are good. We've been raising money for his legal defense still. And listen, Authorized Dollar is doing a great job with him. The best thing to do is just keep Eric's spirits up, until the trial's going along. I mean, not the trial, but they're preparing their appeal. And until that happens, we won't have a decision. But, he's home with his family, and he's having, he's enjoying the time with them. It's very precious to him. Vincent
Vallelong is the SBA president. In all transparency, he's also a good friend of mine. Vin, tell me how you get young kids to want to be cops in this city, because at least on this show, almost every conversation is bad. It's bad. The mayor hates us and hates you guys, and plenty of other officials hate you as well, and you're down on the city council speaker, and it just doesn't seem like it's a very attractive job these days. How do you guys, the veterans who have lived and breathed this job your whole lives, how do you guys get young kids motivated to want this job?
You tell them about the experiences that you had, You need to show them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel with this, and what you're doing is actually good for the people that you protect day in and day out. And I know that's, it seems a little like a cliche, but I didn't have to grab my son by the ear and make him take this job. I have 4 kids. One of them became a cop. And in today's day and age, everyone says, "Oh, well, why are you putting him in this job? No one wants it." Well, there's a problem with that when no one wants it. When you're bringing young kids into a job and making them work tireless hours over and over again, and there is not enough people to handle these jobs, of course you're going to be down on what it is you do. But this is the greatest city in the world. It should sell itself. We shouldn't be having these politicians that create like this gloom and doom, or that they force feed their politics down your throat. How do you get them to take the job? You know what? You have to tell them it is really it's a great job to raise a family with. At the end of the day, you get to it's enough money for you to put your kids through school. Yes, you have to sometimes take a second job, but that's reality. That's what life is. But I will tell you this before we go off at some point. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And I also set my temperature to 63.
Yeah, good for you. F the mayor is 78 degrees. What is he, nuts? Last one. I remember when he won, and you were writing op-eds and coming into the studio with me, and you were hesitant to really kill him. I know you hated him, but maybe I shouldn't say that, but that's how I felt. But you were willing to give the guy a chance. Do you realize it's only been 7 months? 7 months of a 4-year term, and he's already campaigning and planning for the next 4. And I'm sorry, but Dave Portnoy and Curtis Sliwa, they're not beating Mamdani. So it looks like he may be a shoo-in to win again. 7 months. Is he as bad, not as bad, worse than you thought when he won back in January?
There is nothing that sells me on him being a true leader of the city. You can't balance a budget. When you do balance a budget, it's supposed to be you're correcting past spending and moving forward, not dumping, not raising money someplace else or getting freebies from a governor and then turning that over and giving them out to people who bring nothing back into the tax base. Do I have any faith in him? I'd like to, but 7 months in, I have absolutely none.
And in terms of the way he's treated the cops, like you said, he campaigned on defunding the police. He's really doing that. He really is. Right?
It's my understanding. He's a nice guy when you talk to him, but I haven't talked to him 7 months in. He doesn't really care about what the opinion is of the people who are actually doing this job day in and day out. So how do I have any respect for someone who doesn't care what it is that I actually do, but is making decisions on what it is?
You don't. That's the bottom line. Vinny, I love you. Congratulations on, again, being the president of the SBA. I couldn't think of a better guy for that job. You're an amazing man, a great cop, and New Yorkers love you. They don't love Mamdani. I know he won. But trust me when I tell you, the majority of New Yorkers don't love this guy, but they love you. Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks, Sid.
God bless you. Vincent Vallelong right there, the president of the SBA, and he's pissed, and he should be pissed. He's pissed at Julie Menon. He's pissed at the city council. He's pissed at Mamdani. I'm sure he's pissed at a couple of big wigs in the NYPD as well. Because, yes, in this $126 billion budget, $126 billion budget, they couldn't find a way to add one cop. Not one. Or that 5th firefighter. Disgraceful. Shame on you, Mr. Mayor. Shame on you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?